Hello, everybody. Tom Rajabzadeh, your host here at International Ball Facebook Live. Today, I have the great pleasure of having Coach Robert Ehsan. Coach Robert Ehsan, Iranian American, one of the very few coaches, in fact, the only coach that is head coaching NCAA Division One level. And today I have the privilege and honor of being his host and speaking with him regards to his career and some of the wonderful things he's done. Coach Ehsan, how are you? Hope all is well.
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Tom. I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate you. Man, I have been so enthused to speak with you for the longest time. And obviously, COVID-19 shutting down basketball around the world. And, you know, hope, first of all is well and safe with you and your family. And how has COVID affected you?
Yeah, it's a crazy time, Tom. Really, 2000 this year, 2020, man. All the kind of unique things that have happened. Speaking with one of my coaching friends this morning on the phone, and we were talking about, could you imagine? Never ever would we ever imagine in college basketball that you're having games canceled the day of the game. That all the stuff that's affected, not only basketball, but our world it's just been a unique time. Luckily, our family has been safe. We've been careful. We've really got a chance to spend a lot of bonding time. I have a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So even though I'm not coaching right now, people ask me, are you handling the time off? I said, there's really no time off when you have 3 little kids under the age of 7. So overall, it's been a great chance for me, Tom, to really do things like this, get to build my network of people, get to tell my story, reflect on my coaching career up to this point, learn, grow, and do all I can to really prepare myself for, the next chapter in my life.
That's brilliant, Coach. I have been following your great career for some time now. As a Iranian American, tell us a little bit about your background and just before you started your just doing basketball and getting to coaching at Maryland.
Yeah, my father was born in Iran, came over to this country when he was 18 years old. And he always, would tell me the story of he got on a bus from New York that literally dropped him off in California, where he had no idea where he was going. He didn't speak English, really was able to make a great life for himself. Him and my mom were married for about 7 years. And then they divorced, and I got a chance to, at a young age, grow a passion for basketball. I ended up moving to Sacramento, played at Bella Vista High School, went on to play at UC Davis. And it was there that I really developed this passion and thought for wanting to coach, and coach in college specifically. I'd grown up, Tom, loving the ACC, like many people wanted to go to North Carolina, Duke, Maryland. I really loved Maryland for some reason, when I was younger. So when I was in college as a freshman, I asked one of my assistant coaches, his name is Dietrich Taylor. He's now the head coach at Cal State Fullerton. I said, Coach Taylor, if I want to get in coaching, what do I do? He said, Rob, you need to go work basketball camps. So I had this idea, Tom, at the time. This is 2001, 19 years ago. I'm going to email Maryland and I'm going to say, can I come work your basketball camp for free? You don't have to pay me. I'll fly my way out there. I'll pay all my expenses. I think they thought I was crazy at first, but it was really what helped me. What started my whole career was this idea. I go to Maryland. I work their camp. I did it every summer. And when I graduated, they had a graduate assistant position open. Dave Dickerson left to go to Tulane to be the head coach at Tulane. Obviously, Maryland was 3 years removed from the national championship. He took the graduate assistant with him. His name was Andrew Novick. And I called him. I said, hey, you guys know me. I would love this. I would love this job. This would be a dream come true. And that's really how my coaching career started. And I told them at the time, I tell this story, a player who was a Division II, small Division I player at UC Davis, coming from my background, being an Iranian American, really to go to Maryland at the age of 22 as a grad assistant and work for Gary Williams was a dream come true. And I told him, I said, I don't think you guys understand how big this is for me. And it was really the thing that, catapulted my whole career.
Wow, what a fantastic story! Because that when I look into that, you actually perhaps not by default or intention, but you laid the foundation for a lot of other Iranian Americans to follow in your footsteps that are in coach. I think we're all a small family, where Iranian descent, basketball professionals, coaches in North America. But how? So moving on, how did you? How was your experience at Maryland? Moving on to, you started as a graduate assistant, and then moving on to assistant recruiting director, and then becoming an assistant coach from 2008 going to 2011.
It was kind of, Tom, really a surreal 6 years at Maryland. I started from literally the bottom. And when Coach Williams retired in May of 2011, the AD named me interim head coach for about 7 days at Maryland. And I tell everybody that my career has been on a downward spiral since those 7 days. But, I got a unique experience. I told everyone I got a PhD in college basketball and coaching at a young age, working at Maryland, doing every single thing. I had my hand in, Tom, as in my first 3 years, everything from Coach Williams' personal schedule, make sure his dry cleaning was picked up, make sure he was at the radio show, to keeping his stats in practice, to sitting behind the bench and keeping fouls during game. Everything in between, I got a chance to experience in those first couple years. And it laid a foundation for me to be very successful in coaching, because I didn't skip any steps. I wasn't a great player. I didn't have a big name. So I didn't go just to assistant coach. I got to learn for 2-3 years under, obviously, Coach Williams, a Hall of Fame coach, some great assistant coaches. And then I gradually worked my way up. And, one of my goals, Tom, when I was young, was never let Coach Williams get into the office before me. And I think I lasted about 2.5 years. 2.5, 3 years, where I think I was there before him every day for about 2.5 years. And I think Coach saw how hard I worked. I was able to build his trust. Coach was at the end of his career as well. And he got to see how I interacted with the players, with the recruits when we came on campus. And that's what really, he gave me in really April of 2008, the biggest break that you could give anybody. He named me a full-time assistant coach at the age of 24, 25, youngest coach in the ACC by far. And 96%, Tom, 95% of college coaches of his stature would not do that. I think it speaks to his trust in me, how strong our relationship was for him to have the faith in me to move me up. And that really skyrocketed my career right away.
Well, of course, granted to your own work ethics and determination, hard work, helping yourself to that position. But I'm curious a little bit if you can share some of your, your experience as well. You were the recruiting director at Maryland, and and how did that evolve, and also becoming Iranian. The first, I think you were the first Iranian American coach in NCAA Division I college basketball. How did it, when it comes to recruiting? I mean, did you see any other Iranian Americans or Iranians coming in? I know previously we had discussed some stories.
Tom, I give one of the most heartbreaking recruits for me at Maryland was Arsalan Kazemi. And Arsalan, arguably one of the best Iranian American players to ever play in college basketball. I remember I saw him at a camp in Philadelphia, and I remember calling Tom, Dave Telep, who is now the director of scouting for the San Antonio Spurs. He would cover high school players. And I said, Dave, I just saw this guy. Have you seen him? What do you think? I said, he's Iranian like me. He said, well, I hope you get him then. And I recruited him, and he ended up going to Rice University, but he would have been a great fit at Maryland. And in recruiting, you lose a lot more than you get. I kept in touch with him. He went on and transferred to Oregon and had a good year there, I think, as a graduate transfer. But at a young age in the Maryland, Washington, D.C. area, where Kevin Durant is from, and all these great players, I got such a good experience on great high school basketball, great high school coaches, great AAU programs. Being around them, I orchestrated and ran the first elite camp at Maryland. And Tom, when I go back and look at the list, it was a who's who. Victor Oladipo, Quinn Cook, Terrence Ross, 10 guys that were in the NBA that at the time, I didn't know that. And, I didn't know that. I knew they were good, but I didn't know how good they were going to be. I was able to recruit and become very close with Graves Vasquez, who was Kevin Durant's teammate at Montrose Christian. So I got just a unique experience at a young age of how recruiting worked in one of the most talented hotbeds for high school talent in all of the country. And again, always looking for Iranians to recruit. Arsalan was the one that I always say got away. But hopefully, hopefully, Tom, there's more coaches, Iranian coaches. You said it. When I was younger, I was head down, working as hard as I can, very driven. I don't think I really took the time to appreciate and maybe reflect on, hopefully, the influence I can have. But Arsalan, I thought, was doing the same thing. He was a trailblazer in terms of his success in college basketball, being from Iran, and hopefully, we can inspire some more.
Yes, indeed. And, you yourself have been a true inspiration to a lot of the Iranians that live here in North America and follow that they are diehard college basketball fans. But what is some of the advice that you may have for these student athletes that are out there that aspire to play college basketball, Coach?
Yeah, I think right now we're in such a unique time because of COVID, and obviously there's no recruiting that's going on. But I would say the biggest thing, Tom, is that you can't be afraid to chase your dreams. You can't be afraid to put yourself out there, no matter what your story is. Nowadays in college basketball, you're seeing guys that were not highly recruited from all different levels of all different colleges grow, get better, be successful. And, I think the biggest thing I said is you got to obviously work hard and be driven, but you can't be afraid to put yourself out there, reach out to the coaches, play, let your play do the talking when you have the opportunity. And also, and really just to be committed to chasing your dream.
Yes, indeed. And then after you moved on from Maryland, you spent the season at Virginia Tech. What was your journey like there, and any stories you can share?
Yeah, so Coach Williams retired in May, kind of unexpectedly at the time. I was very fortunate to go right to another ACC school, still 28, 29 years old, go to work for Seth Greenberg. And Coach Greenberg, now one of, if not the best college basketball analyst on TV, works for ESPN. And my year there was very beneficial for my development. I tell people all the time, Coach Greenberg was probably the best knowledgeable X and O's coach that I'd ever been around. Coach Greenberg could do a clinic on any kind of defense, any offense. He knew like the back of his hand. And he worked extremely hard. And his basketball knowledge, the amount of basketball knowledge that I was able to sink in that year at Virginia Tech was really, really valuable to me, even as I became a head coach. And it was a short period of time there, only one season, but it was a very valuable one.
And following that season, I think it was the announcement in 2012 that made you make the transition to University of Alabama at Birmingham. How did you make that transition, and what took place?
So, Tom, one of the things, especially for young people, is it's all about relationships. I try to do a good job at a young age to build relationships with as many coaches as I can and build real authentic relationships. One of the people I got to know during my time at Maryland and Virginia Tech was Jared Haas. Jared Haas was the head coach at UAB. He was named it in 2012, as you mentioned, and he asked me to come up along as really his top assistant. When I looked at my career, Tom, at the time, still very young, I had coached at the highest level and coached for two legendary coaches who had established programs. I'd never been a part of going in new with a new coach and establishing your own culture and your own program. So those were some of the things that I thought were really exciting about working for Coach Hass. I took that opportunity to really go be his top assistant for 4 years. And I always thought in the back of my mind, Tom, if we do great at UAB, maybe there's a chance that I could be the head coach. That was always a dream of mine because I knew the reputation and the tradition that UAB had in college basketball. And we had a great 4 years with Coach Hass. He's now the head coach at Stanford. Coach Hass, one of the best people in college basketball to work for, just as good of a person as he is a coach. And we had an unbelievable ride that led to me being named, at the age of 33, the head coach of UAB.
And what a fantastic news that was for our community because, following your good work, becoming at that age the youngest Iranian American college coach, establishing your own philosophy at your own at the school which you made the transition to. Please share a little bit about your coaching philosophy, your vision about what you establish as a head coach.
Yep. So I was really young, looking back, Tom, and now, 4 or 5 years later, I really feel like the first 2 years, Tom, I really was still developing as a head coach. And I think all first time, especially Division I head coaches, all younger coaches, as you mentioned, the age of 33, it took me 2 years to really figure out what my philosophy was. I was really big on culture. I was really big on us being the hardest working team, but also having success off the court as well as on the court. And I thought I really developed myself as a coach after those first 2 years that led to us essentially winning 20 games a year, really for the last 3 years. But we recruited really hard. We kind of defensively changed over the years. We kind of figured out offensively how I wanted to play. And all of those things, I thought really in the last 2 years, man, we did a heck of a job as a team. We had a great staff that was really able to, make us successful. This past season, we had the most road and neutral wins of anyone in Conference USA. We had won 5 of our last 7 games, and we had won the first round in the tournament. And I felt like I was coaching a team that was the most confident I coached as a head coach and was playing their best basketball. And COVID-19 obviously shut down the tournament, but we thought with the draw we had that we had a really, really good chance to make the NCAA tournament. And if we did it, I definitely would be in a different situation right now.
You had tremendous success early on when, speaking about your career. I mean, looking over your Twitter page here at Rob Ehsan for our viewers and fans interested to follow. At UAB, 76 wins in 2015, 2016, CUSA champion. Even before that, in terms of as an assistant coach, whatnot at University of Maryland. Again, you were ACC champion. You have had this. Your philosophy of winning. How can you expand a little bit on your your philosophy in terms of the culture of work that you establish within a culture, within a college, and what goes into your recruiting to help win games?
So, Tom, I think in college basketball, the biggest thing that really I learned over the years that really led to some of the success you mentioned was recruiting is so important. Not only recruiting the most talented, best players, but recruiting guys that fit you, recruiting guys that really fit your personality and what you want. And we were really big on getting guys, Tom, that were high character, holding them high work ethic, holding them to a high standard of discipline, and playing selfless basketball. And I know some of those are cliche, but we were very disciplined with our practice approach on both sides of the basketball. And I think really that we had a great, over the years, I was able to recruit, coach, and also develop some great players. And one of the things that I think I've learned, Tom, is when you have a group of coaches and a group of players that are really disciplined and really buy into working hard, and you have a good system, you are going to see guys get better. One of the things at Maryland, Tom, I used to tell people was Gary Williams won the national championship with a lot of guys that were not McDonald's All-Americans. None of them were in 2002. And when we won the ACC in 2010, no McDonald's All-Americans, but we had guys that had chips on their shoulder, that were hungry, had something to prove. And those were the kind of guys that Coach Williams really liked. When we got to UAB, we were able to do a phenomenal job of recruiting some high talented kids that were very selfless. Those teams that won the Conference USA championship back-to-back years, went to the NCAA tournament, had really some of the best chemistry of any teams I've ever coached. And I think again, it goes back to how you're recruiting and then how are you developing these guys. I was big, Tom, and really teaching, believing in and teaching lessons, not just on the court, but off the court. How we handle our business, developing the character of our young men. And I really believe that would translate, to on the court success. And I think when you have, some good standards in place, like we did of working extremely hard, discipline, and playing selfless, those were the three things that we were big on, then the wins are going to take care of themselves.
Yes, sir. You have, what you have accomplished in college basketball as an Iranian American, and obviously you're still under contract with UAB. But what your name is often mentioned in when it comes to Iranian national team head coaching in the basketball circles. I'm curious, what is next for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've had some great time to reflect. I've had a great experience in college basketball. It's what I know. I will say that I'm very interested and excited about a lot of different possibilities. International basketball, you mentioned, the Iranian national team, exploring some avenues there. The NBA, I've spoken to a handful of NBA people and personnel about some possible situations in there. And then obviously college basketball, again, still staying in college. I have a passion for teaching the game. I have a passion for learning and growing young men and through the game of basketball. And I think, there's going to be something good that's come for me here in the future, and really just waiting to see and being selective of what that's going to be.
Interesting. What are some of the advices that you have for a lot of the young Iranian Americans or Iranian Canadians, just Iranians or anyone from our community that may be interested in following in your footsteps, sir?
Yeah, I think you one thing I would say is, and I said this earlier, but really pursuing your dreams and believing in it and working extremely hard and always trying to get better. Always growing and always learning, and be willing to put yourself out there. Look, I would have never been, Tom, my career would have never started if it wouldn't have started with me reaching out to Maryland, saying, hey, can I come work your camp? Kind of a crazy idea to some people at the time, some of my friends in California who said that, Maryland is never going to have you come there to work there. But it started with a crazy idea. And me being willing to put myself out there and pursue a dream. And I think for anybody who wants to really work in college basketball, you got to be willing to do that. Take your chances, keep working, connect with as many people as you can, try to build as many authentic relationships as you can, and always be willing to learn and grow.
Fantastic. Coach, you have any final thoughts or any shout outs or word of advice, wisdom you can share with us today?
I think I'm very grateful, Tom, for the opportunity to be on here and speak to many people. I think the game of basketball has done so much for me and myself and my family. And I think that while I've accomplished a lot, and I've told people that really chapter one of my kind of career is over. Hopefully I have 2 more chapters still to write. That I've really learned that giving back, helping others, and always willing to learn and grow. You know, no matter how accomplished you are, the best leaders that I have come across or studied are always looking for ways to get better, always looking for a competitive edge. And I find myself now as a successful former head coach, still trying to connect with people, still trying to help young people, still trying to get better myself, grow myself, so that when the next opportunity comes, you know, I'll be better. And, you know, greatness is not a destination. I tell people all the time, it's chasing, it's the consistency and the action of your habits. And hopefully, if I can inspire some other Iranian Americans or young people who want to get into coaching, who believe in coaching and helping young men and women, then I'm very, very lucky, because I know how good some people have been to me through my career and how blessed I am to be a part of the game of basketball.
Coach Ehsan, I want to thank you so much for giving us your time. I want to wish you good health and continued success, as well as happy holidays.
Thank you, Tom. You too.